This podcast is sponsored by Release Winery. Every wine tells a story. Each growing season, it's our goal to create an artisan Napa Valley wine of exceptional quality. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at releasewinery.com.
Sure, so we're a small family-run business, but there is a backstory to the whole John Duval wines, and that begins in 1974 where my father, John, who's the winemaker at John Duval Wines, he finished his winemaking degree at MOURVEDRE in Adelaide, and then first interview of his life was with Penfolds, so quite a famous winery from the Barossa. Started, I think, in the 1840s. So yeah, first job with Penfolds. So fast forward 29 years later, 16 of those where he was the chief winemaker for Penfolds, responsible for Grange, 707 and all the Penfolds classics. He decided it was time to get back in the winery, back in the vineyard at a more intricate level, and so started our own family winery, John Duval Wines. So that was in 2003. And we started with one wine, which was a Shiraz Grenache MOURVEDRE blend from pretty old vines called Plexus. So that was the beginning of the John Duval Wines family story. And we've been introducing wines ever since then. So we've got 5 wines now. A straight Shiraz called Entity, which the first vintage was 2004. A vineyard selection best of vintage Shiraz called Aligo. A white wine, a Marsanne Roussanne Viognier, Plexus White, that we introduced in 2010. And lastly, a straight Grenache from a really ancient vineyard, which we call Annexus. So we're a pretty focused, tight range, but I guess focused on quality and finding the right vineyards within the Barossa and Eden Valleys. It is quite widely grown. Yeah, we often quite commonly call it Mataro in the Barossa as well. So originally in the Barossa it was planted and used as a fortified variety. So Shiraz, Grenache, MOURVEDRE, Mataro. So we've amazing old vine resources in the valley. We think that we've got the oldest Shiraz, Grenache and MOURVEDRE vines in the world planted in the Barossa Valley. We avoided phylloxera, so we've got these amazing old vines on their original roots. And MOURVEDRE, we love working with it. It's got a lovely savoury brooding character to its wines, so we think that works particularly well with Shiraz and Grenache. Hence why when Dad left Penfolds and started our own winery, the first wine that he did was that style of blend. Yeah, and I think that's one of the nice stories that's coming out of the Barossa at the moment is celebration of other varietals. Obviously, Shiraz is the best known variety coming out of Barossa and Australia probably as a general blanket statement. But the opportunity to work with these amazing Grenache and MOURVEDRE vineyards and to celebrate those styles in a serious way, not just blending them away and getting lost sometimes in other Shiraz dominant blends. So yeah, we're really excited to champion these resources that we've got and to start telling those other stories from the Barossa that perhaps other people hadn't heard as much. There's Dad, Mum, who was the inspiration for the white Plexus because we never had enough white wine around the house, so that was pretty quickly added to the portfolio. Mum's a teacher in the Barossa Valley, so a nice levelling point for us sometimes when we get caught away in the world of wine to have somebody who deals with, people problems and that kind of challenging education. So that's nice, brings some roundness to the family. And I've got 2 other brothers. I'm the eldest of 3. My brother Ben lives and works in Melbourne, so on the east coast of Australia, running a small wine shop and a craft beer focused bar. So he's quite into craft brewing and that kind of scene. Loves wine, makes a little side project wine as part of the venue he works at. And my youngest brother Johnny is an architect in Adelaide, but I guess all of us growing up in the Barossa having an affinity and a connection with the wine industry have worked selling wine through university, and we've done some vintage time as well. So it's pretty hard to stay away from the wine game, I think.
This podcast is sponsored by Release Winery. Every wine tells a story. Each growing season, it's our goal to create an artisan Napa Valley wine of exceptional quality. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at releasewinery.com.